Next, we move on to specification number 3. This specification requires us to state the functions of the different components of blood. Each component has a specific role, and our explanation should be limited to what is clearly mentioned in the syllabus. So, let's find out how the components of blood work, how red blood cells transport oxygen, while white blood cells protect the body as lymphocytes produce antibodies and phagocytes engulf pathogens, how platelets help in blood clotting by converting fibrinogen into fibrin, preventing excessive bleeding and blocking pathogens, and how plasma acts as the transport medium, carrying blood cells along with ions, nutrients, hormones, carbon dioxide, urea, vitamins, and plasma proteins. First, let's see plasma. Plasma is the liquid part of blood, making up about 55% of its total volume. It carries blood cells and transports carbon dioxide, glucose, amino acids, vitamins, mineral ions, hormones, plasma proteins, and urea around the body. Next, we have the red blood cells. These cells carry oxygen from the lungs to the body's cells for aerobic respiration, transporting it in the form of oxyhemoglobin, where oxygen is bound to hemoglobin. Next, let's look at white blood cells. These cells protect the body against infections caused by pathogens. Lymphocytes produce antibodies, while phagocytes engulf and digest harmful microorganisms. Then, we have platelets. Platelets are small cell fragments that help the blood clot whenever a blood vessel or the skin is damaged, preventing excessive bleeding. So, let's see how platelets carry out their role in blood clotting. When the skin or a blood vessel is injured, platelets become activated and gather at the site of the damage to help reduce bleeding. They release clotting factors that initiate a series of reactions in the plasma, which convert the soluble protein fibrinogen into insoluble fibrin. This fibrin forms a mesh across the wound, trapping red blood cells and additional platelets to create a blood clot. The clot eventually dries into a scab, which prevents further blood loss and acts as a barrier against pathogens. In summary, the transformation of fibrinogen into fibrin forms a stable mesh that seals the wound and stops bleeding. As you can see here in the diagram, it shows how blood clotting works to stop bleeding when a blood vessel is broken. Red blood cells and platelets are shown moving past the broken blood vessel wall. The platelets become activated and stick to the injury, forming a small plug. Chemical reactions in the plasma then produce fibrin, which forms a mesh that traps more red blood cells and platelets. This creates a stable clot that seals the wound and prevents further blood loss. At last, we have a table which summarizes the main components of blood, their structures, and their functions. Red blood cells are biconcave discs without a nucleus, which provides a large surface area and maximum space for hemoglobin. Their main role is to transport oxygen by binding it to hemoglobin. White blood cells are large cells with a prominent nucleus, and their structure varies depending on the type, lymphocytes or phagocytes. Lymphocytes produce antibodies, while phagocytes engulf and digest pathogens to protect the body from infections. Platelets are small fragments of cells that help blood clot by converting soluble fibrinogen into insoluble fibrin, preventing blood loss and blocking pathogens from entering the body. Plasma is a clear, straw-colored liquid that carries blood cells and also transports ions, glucose, amino acids, hormones, carbon dioxide, urea, vitamins, and plasma proteins throughout the body.